Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Toilisted Titles. My name is Justin Stevens. We're back with another episode of the flagship show. This is Toilisted Titles on the Toilisted Titles Network, your go-to network for all of your fantasy football information and content. First thing I want to do is thank you, the viewers, for sticking it out with us after all these years. And we're at episode 203 right now. And honestly, if it wasn't for you viewers, we wouldn't still be doing it. And you viewers have slowly become into team members, like the three that you see before you with me tonight. I'm going to go around the wheel here, and I'm going to start with Jason. But I think that we all had a little bit of a difficult week this week with sickness, or at least we knew somebody that has been going through it. Jason, you were a game time decision. I was glad to see that during warmups you were able to handle it, and you're out here well stretched and ready to perform. Or is this going to be a Josh Downs incident where after the first segment you're done?
Lucky. It's totally not a Bijan Robinson issue. I had a headache. I had illness. But my coach decided he'd go to Orlando, go to Disney. So I'm full go. I'm playing. I'm going to be, 70, 80% of the snaps.
Yeah, that's a great point. You guys might notice that coach isn't here, the most familiar face. He's having a good time, a well-deserved vacation with the family. I'm here in Disney trying to find him because, I didn't think I'd be able to do the show without him, but luckily we got enough support. But yeah, that's Walt there and Mickey there behind me, and then we've got the search party out. But I think they already went back to the hotel room, so we're just gonna go ahead and do the show without him. But George, that Dolphins room is looking phenomenal. I know it's been a little while since the flagship show audience has been able to see it, but you're looking good down there, man. I like that green.
Yeah, thank you. It's obviously it's Dolphin teal. Had the wife get me a banner. We added this little Miami Dolphins things. I got some brackets out in the garage. I just got to go get some wood so I can put some paint so I can paint some white shelves and put it behind me as well. It's coming along. It's just a slow process. I'm so busy right now. But I'm glad to hear that Jason said like he's Bijan Robinson, which means really he's only going to get used like 2 or 3 times during the whole show. So he's the best guy on the show, but he's only getting used a handful of times. Like he's definitely not going to be overworked. We're saving him for the playoffs or next year or something.
No, like he said, Art Smith's not here. I'm the offensive coordinator. I'm going to make sure I utilize Jason tonight. But
Can we clip where he says I'm the best part of the show and make that a short?
Absolutely, go for it. That was right around the 2-minute and 50-second mark.
Yep,
but I like how you got that room all set up and ready just in time to jump ship and go become a 49ers fan. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that, George? I'm really excited about this. I've seen some of your Twitter clips, and I can't wait to see you full board with this.
Yeah, so the team over there has been helping me a lot. So I had an opportunity arise where I could join Des Bryant's High Point content creators team. Obviously, they asked me what team I was interested in covering because what they did is kind of like the Locked On Network where they got 32 people that they brought in covering 32 teams. So each person is assigned a specific team. I wanted the Dolphins, clearly. That is my favorite team. But that was taken by another content creator. So they asked me, what other team would you be interested in? And I rattled off, a couple teams they were all taken. I said, how about the 49ers? They said, 49ers are available. I said, give them to me. Which at first I was like, damn, I got the 49ers. But think about it, like 5 championships in their history. Right now, they're a very good team. There's huge trade at the trade deadline for Chase Young. They're not in the AFC, so they're not really a rival of the Dolphins. I don't have to worry about them playing the Dolphins throughout the year, except for once every 4 years or the Super Bowl. And they're not in the AFC East, which means I don't have to pretend I care about another team outside of the AFC East and the Dolphins. So it's a fantastic opportunity. Like Justin said, he's seen some of the shorts and the clips I've been putting on Twitter. The team over there has really helped me a lot. And it's going. It's a slow grind, but it's going.
Eli says, "Sorry, y'all. Only one can be first. You got
That's
it.
right.
You got first." Yeah. So just typical show stuff here. Before we get into the best part of the show here with our next introduction, I got to throw out a little teaser. Those of you that are in the chat right now, make sure you are paying attention to the keyword a little bit later on in the show for that Yeti giveaway, guys. We are giving away a Yeti cooler. So more details on that later. But if you're tuned in right now, you want to stay tuned in for that keyword later on and the details on that. But the final introduction here, at the star of the show, really, our guy, Pete Sandoval. He's new to the team. He said he wanted to give a show a shot, and I was like, you know what? What better than episode 203 when Coach isn't here to tell me no? I'm going to bring in the new guy and see what he's got. So what's going on, Pete? And for your introduction, I wanted to ask you, somebody pretty special to you today had a little bit of a tryout and got some good news, right?
Oh, yeah. My daughter, Aaliyah, went and tried out for the soccer team, and she made the team.
Nice. Yeah. Bravo.
A lot of good things going on with the kids right now.
Awesome. One of these days when she makes it pro, we'll have her on to interview her about her experience.
Yeah.
All right. So as you guys can see, that's not actually DJ Moore there, but that's Pete. He is a Bears fan. He's a resident Bears fan now, and hopefully he will be able to entertain us on the Bears tonight, because unfortunately we don't get very entertained by them on Sundays. Jason, you had your finger up.
Well, so with DJ Moore there, I'm also not DJ Moore, obviously, but I do have one less fumble and the same amount of touchdowns over the last 4 games. Just throwing it out.
Okay. Wow. All right, guys.
Already here.
We've let Pete have it enough. Let's get on with the show here. So we've done introductions. That's taken too long. I'll do some of the house cleaning stuff in just a minute. Let's get to our game of the week. So as many of you already know, the game of the week is a thing that Coach and I it's kind of like a little competition between the two of us heading into week 10. So after week 9, Coach is currently up on me by 15 points. And that happened. He gained 2 more points on me. I had him down to 13. At one point, I think I was down by like 40. I've dwindled it down to about 13, and he gained 2 points on me this week because his game of the week was the Cowboys and the Eagles. That was only a 5-point differential, and it was a very good game. And my game of the week was a 7-point differential, the Germany game between the Dolphins and the Chiefs. So he gained 2 points on me there, but both very, very good games. We got to see a lot about what the Cowboys and the Eagles both have to offer moving forward. So I'm pretty excited to see those two up against each other, hopefully in the playoffs as well. So, obviously depending on where the Niners fall, but any key takeaways, George, from that Dolphins and Chiefs game moving forward for the rest of the season that you noticed with your Dolphins?
Yeah, that defense is real. They held Patrick Mahomes to like under 180 passing yards or something like that. They held the Chiefs to under 90 yards rushing. 14 points is all they scored on offense. Yes, they scored 21 total. There was a strip fumble, lateral return for a touchdown, game 21, but they only scored 14 points. This is the 4th game in a row that the Dolphins have not allowed a 100-yard rusher. It's like that defense. We got back Javon Holland. We got back Jalen Ramsey. Xavier Howard is healthy. Like that defense is starting to come together the way it was intended to start the year. Like it's a very, very good defense, and the statistics outside of week 1 kind of bear that. They got thrumped by the Bills, but outside of which they always get thrumped by the Bills, you can just fucking take that. There's one. You can take that game, throw it in the trash. Dolphins are going to get curb stomped by the Bills every single time they play. But the Dolphins and the Chiefs, that game, it was a good game. We shot ourselves in the foot in the 4th quarter, that final drive. You can't have that type of a miscommunication where Tua thought he was coming back and he was going long, and you can't have a missed snap like that. It's just they shot themselves in the foot, didn't even give themselves an opportunity to try to score a final touchdown to tie the game. So those are my takeaways. The Dolphins, they are a good team. Yeah, they haven't beat anybody over 500, but they're still a very good team.
Yeah, Eli's got your number down here, man. But so
Eli knows.
with Coach gone, I'm trying to host the show and I'm trying to be a good producer. And I even warned everybody of the cursing before the show starts. I don't know if you missed it, Pete, but we're already down one with George there. So we're only allotted one more. So I don't know, man. We're probably going to have to switch this one to After Dark mode pretty soon. But
I'll keep it clean.
So
if we want to
if we want to talk about, if we want to talk about what we learned from the Dolphins, it's something we already knew. They can't beat good teams. And it's luckily for them, their schedule upcoming means that's not going to be a factor. Like they don't have another good team until, what is it, week 15? They got 15, 16, or 17, or is it 16, 17, and 18? They play the Bills, the Ravens, and the Cowboys, or in some order. But before that, their schedule is garbage. They play the Raiders, the Jets, the Commanders, the Titans, the Jets before they end the season with the Cowboys, Ravens, and Bills. So like they're going to go on a run here, and we're all going to forget that they haven't beaten a team that matters until they run into the Cowboys. And then that'll be an interesting one because the Cowboys are another team that seems to not really beat teams that matter.
But what's funny is they struggle with the teams that are really good, but they do what they should do to the teams that are bad. And that's the sign of a good team. Like, look at the Bills. They went out and lost to a 1-win Patriots. I'm sorry. That's not a sign of a good team. But look at the Chiefs. They went out and lost to the Denver Broncos. I'm sorry. That's not the sign of a good team. Like, sometimes bad teams get your number, absolutely. I'd rather have a team that lost to the Buffalo Bills, who they always lose to. Like, the Dolphins are like 9-2 in the last 11 games against them. They just have their number. We can all relate to teams having your team's number. No matter how good or bad they are, they just have your number. And then you lost to the two teams that were in the Super Bowl last year on the road. Like, that's not something to say, hey, you're not a good team. And in both games in the fourth quarter, they were in both of those games. It's not like they were blown out. So they are a good team, and they can hang with good teams.
Well, you and I could go back and forth on this or any show and I know we got a lot to get to. So we'll move on. The only thing I'll say is, unfortunately for you, you're going to be playing some of these teams in the playoffs, and you will have to eventually beat them. It's going to be tough. So that's all I'm saying.
This is why they talk so much, is because they both have to get the last word in. That's how this works. So I want to get this word in because Eli is cracking me up here. Yeah, Jason, you are lagging a little bit. Just something to consider. But buddy, that BFTG stands for big phony tough guy because he's not a real tough guy and he spells phony with an F.
That's true. It's absolutely true. Also, I may be lagging because my son's watching on my Wi-Fi.
He's bringing down the Wi-Fi. All right. All right, so back to the game of the week for this week. I chose the Colts and the Patriots. Like I said, normally in years past, I haven't chosen the Colts games very often, but they are a bad team, and they keep playing other bad teams, so it keeps kind of making it so that it's probably going to be a close matchup. I did not choose them last week, fortunately, but this week against the Patriots, I'm choosing them because, A, it's the Patriots. I'm a Colts fan. I hate the Patriots. So no matter what, even though I want them to get a better draft spot, I have to root for them to beat the Patriots, especially since the so-called Patriots are going to be playing in Germany at 9:30 in the morning. I think that's kind of funny to me to think about. But so the Colts and Patriots in Germany, 9:30 Sunday morning. You guys know I love those Sunday morning games. So I'm excited about this one. Coach for this week has chosen the 49ers at the Jaguars. So I'm going to start with that game because George also chose the 49ers and the Jaguars. And he's got a pretty good reason, George. Why is that your game of the week this week?
Because that's the game Jason and I are going to. No, it's also because of the stuff I'm doing in the High Point Network. I was actually going to change it. I'm actually looking forward to the Sunday night game between the Jets and the what's it called? Hold on. Who are they playing?
The Jets and the Raiders?
Jets and the Raiders. Thank you. I'm looking forward to that game because all of a sudden I have become a huge fan of the Raiders coach. And he's just absolutely phenomenal. I love the fact that this week he was asked about why he brought the practice squad players and allowed them to come to the game where the previous coach wasn't allowing the practice squad players to come to the game. He's like, why wouldn't you? They're a part of the team. They bust their behinds 3 days a week and help get us ready. He's like, they need to strive to get better, to get into a game, to be able to make the 53, to play in a game. Why not have them come to a game and be a part of the team? They are a part of the team. So I'm a huge fan of what the coach there is doing. Also, I think that game is going to be like a car accident where you shouldn't watch. It's going to be bad. It's horrific, but you kind of can't help but not turn away. You just got to kind of watch it. So that's the reason I picked that game. I think that's the same reason Pete picked the game he picked as well. It's going to be a car accident. You're just not going to be able to turn your neck and turn away. You're just going to have to watch.
Well, I think Pete has other reasons for that game as well. But personally, I enjoyed the fact that the Colts beat up on Frank Reich last week. So I'm going to be rooting for your Bears this week, Pete. Pete, you chose the Bears and the Panthers as your game of the week, probably not just for obvious reasons, the fact that you're a Bears fan, but also maybe that is the total reason. I don't know, but it's Thursday night football. So why did you choose this as your game of the week?
Well, I chose this game because this is about draft picks for the both the Bears and the Panthers. The Bears beat the Panthers. They get a better chance of getting a draft pick. Panthers beat the Bears. They get a good chance of getting the top pick. Fields is coming back, maybe. Herbert may be coming back. Brian Burns isn't playing. CJ Henderson isn't playing. It might be a really good show for the Bears. Even if Bajan plays, he might do really well. This Panthers defense is really struggling on the rushing side. Their passing is pretty good, but passing defense. But
yeah,
I don't know. The Bears have defense has been kind of stepping it up a little bit on the rushing side, so it's kind of flip flop. Panthers got a good secondary. Bears got a bad secondary. Bears got a good front four. Panthers got a bad one. So it's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, it would be really funny if it's in the NFL script for them to finish 0-0. Just because like they're both going for that better draft pick.
Oh man, yeah. What do you do there? A coin toss?
Yeah, something like that. I mean, there's all kinds of tiebreakers, but it would take me the rest of the 1 hour show to go over all that. Jason, game of the week. You've got the Lions at the Chargers, the 4:05 game, and even for some fantasy football implications, I really kind of like this pick.
I mean, that's exactly why. Right? I know George is rooting for a car wreck. I'm rooting for a high-scoring, entertaining, non-Raiders versus Jets style game. I think I heard earlier that they wanted to post the Sunday night, but they didn't get it in time, so we got stuck with the Jets. And you're the NFL organization. How do you mess up flexing your own game to Sunday night? How do you do that? And everybody is stuck watching the Raiders play the Jets. Man, it's just horrible. But yeah, no, it's about the over under. It's about watching Jahmyr Gibbs and see if he can do it another week. It's about Herbert seeing if he can get back on track after getting stuffed by the Jets completely. And it's about a phone that probably shouldn't have rang.
Yeah, you think if you hang up once, they probably wouldn't try to call back a second time. All right. Yeah. So that I apologize, guys. That's my mom. I'm taking her for a procedure on Friday, so she's just calling to tell me what time. So a legit reason. I apologize. Let's see.
Tell your mom not to let it happen again. And I mean that because I don't want her to need a procedure. She needs to be healthy.
All right, injury updates. So George and I do an injury show every Friday night, TGIF. This guy is fragile, where we're going to bring you all the updated injuries of the week leading into your Week 10 fantasy football week. And we get all of our information from the fantasy doctors. Not all the information, but most of our information from the fantasy doctors. And guys, even though it was last week's episode, you got to go back and watch that episode with Dr. Jesse Morse. Unfortunately, I had to miss it, but George did a stand-up job with that interview. And Dr. Jesse Morse is phenomenal. And the information that he gave in that episode about players, like Anthony Richardson, I know it doesn't affect Week 10, but a lot of his content is evergreen based off of injuries themselves. So it's information that you can take with you into other players, into your future of fantasy football. So it's a great episode. Go back and check it out. This week, I've got the list here, guys. We'll probably take turns reading each one of these, but I'm going to start with the quarterbacks, and then I'll go to Jason for the running backs. But the quarterback injury list here, we got Jaron Hall, concussion. But welcome to Minnesota, Joshua Dobbs. So I understand Jaron Hall will be in the concussion protocol this week, may or may not miss this week, but I don't think it matters. This job's Joshua Dobbs for the rest of the season. Came in, filled in nicely, tore it up. Speaking of tearing it up, Daniel Jones, ACL season ending. Oh, man, that was horrible. I'm probably going to hell for that one. Daniel Jones is out for the season, bringing DeVito in. Danny's nephew is going to be quarterbacking the New York Giants for the rest of the season if he can stay alive back there. But Jalen Hurts, he has a left knee sprain, likely an MCL, likely aggravated it for the second week in a row. And also for the second week in a row, went ahead and finished the game and played phenomenally. And the man is a machine. So likely doesn't matter if he even has a knee at this point. Justin Fields, possible return week 10, just like Pete mentioned a few minutes ago, versus Carolina, but he was limited in practice today, so he's being considered day-to-day right now, but definitely a good sign pointing towards possibly playing. Kyler Murray, as was announced earlier today, to be the starter for week 10 versus Atlanta. So there's no purposeful tanking here. But also I noticed there were several sites that told me that a lot of people are suggesting that he's going to start. And I saw some sites that said he is going to start. So I'm not really sure which one to believe or trust at this point, but I mean, I feel like he's going to start. I mean, unless they're absolutely tanking, he's probably going to play, or else they wouldn't have brought him back. And they did wait until the last day of the 21-day open window, but he is back on the active roster and ready to play. Does anybody have anything to add to the quarterbacks before we move on to Jason with the running backs?
I mean, just you got to feel for any quarterback that the Giants put back there. You know, Daniel Jones and ACL, not necessarily his offensive line's fault, you know, non-contact, but man, it seems like every quarterback put back there is just getting killed. And I don't see DeVito doing. I mean, he looks awful. He shouldn't be playing. He's a third string guy, but then you put him behind the worst offensive line in the league and say, "Here you go, kid."
Yeah, and then I didn't confirm this, but in our Gilded chat, that is our Toyless to Titles Gilded chat that everybody is welcome to join. It's free for you to enter. Just get a hold of me at JustinFF_. You can get a hold of Coach at Coach Sheps, and we can get you in the Gilded chat. But in that Gilded chat, the news dropped earlier today that Carson Wentz is being signed by the Rams. And the reason I didn't confirm that is because I don't really care. But aside from Carson Wentz being a backup quarterback for a injured Matthew Stafford, Pete, anything from any of that quarterback news that you see that might be fantasy relevant in any way?
Well, if Kyler Murray gets going, you know, they gave him that massive contract, you know, he's got to start paying out. He's got to start doing something. So let's see, man. I think this guy might get going. He's been out for quite a while. So
Dr. Jesse Moore says in his notes that you can expect his rushing to be down a lot this season. Obviously, coming off ACL, that's pretty typical. And a lot of his fantasy points were off of rushing. But at the same time, I think that moving forward, like in Dynasty especially, this will give him a real opportunity to prove that he can be the pocket passer that he can be. Unfortunately, he needs about 3 or 4 more inches in height to really be a great pocket passer, but he's got the wheels to overcome that. Without being able to utilize those wheels, it'll be interesting to see how many turnovers he gets in that backfield before he can kind of get things going. But I do agree with you that he will eventually get things going this week or this season. And I'm not really sure what happened to George. I know he has my wife's phone number. He might have my mom's phone number too. Maybe he's calling to check on her. I don't know. But Jason, let's go ahead and get into the running backs, please.
Okay, and then quick on the Kyler Murray. So Modern Warfare releases on November 10th. So they had to get him. They had to get him on the field before he got addicted. I think that's how it goes.
Roger that. I understand. Yeah. So, George, how's my mom doing?
She's doing fantastic. I went and checked on her for you. I gave her a call.
Yeah,
She's doing fine. She just needs to know what time you're picking her up on Friday.
Yeah, see, without missing a beat, I knew that was going to happen. Hey, real quick, actually, Jason, before we get into the running back, since this is a running back related question, we got the hitman, or hitmanned. That sounds weird. Zach Moss and Hopkins for Pollard, or Zach Moss and Ayuk for Jacobs. So this sounds like he's committed to do one of these two, and he wants to know which one we would do. So I'll start with you, Jason, real quick. Of these two options here, which one do you think you would try to pull the trigger on?
So is he's getting Jacobs or Pollard?
So maybe I feel like it's for Pollard, so like he's giving up Pollard. Or he's giving up Jacobs. Yeah. And plus that would make sense too, because that would mean that he's good at running back. He must have several running backs. And if you listen to the flagship show on Toilets to Titles during the offseason, you'll know I love that strategy. Draft all the running backs. But either way, I guess you could say, which side would you take of which one of the trades,
Pollard's been down, and I'm so you're gonna Pollard for Hopkins and Zach. I mean, the answer to me is no if I'm not getting Pollard or Jacobs. I don't think I'd do this for either one. But if you're really good at running back and I need to know what your other running backs are, I'd probably want Ayuk and Moss because I think it's the best player of the guys you're trading for.
Yeah, personally, I'm with you. I think I'm keeping the running back unless I absolutely desperately need a wide receiver. So I think I can agree with that. Pete?
I don't know. I'm going to have to go opposite. I like Hopkins. Will Levis is playing really, really good.
That was meant to be a thumbs up. I was trying to point at you, but it looked like I was disagreeing.
And like you said, like Jason said, Pollard's been kind of down. He's not really doing it. And Jacobs, I don't know. Jacobs is down too, so
he's getting volume though. That's the thing, right? He's getting volume. So if you want to take anything away from giving up Jacobs, like he's getting volume. So you don't want to give up a guy who's getting as many touches and receptions as he's getting.
This was a comment earlier from your game of the week, DJ Moore revenge game, of course. Yep, that's another plus. George, anything to add on that trade situation for Hitman?
Yeah, if I had to do one of these trades, the only one on here I like is giving up Pollard for Hopkins and Moss. Like if I had Pollard, I would, and I'm good at running back, I would trade him for Hopkins and Moss. If I had Moss and Hopkins, I'm not trading him for Pollard. And if I had Moss and Ayuk, I'm not trading them for Josh Jacobs. And if I had Josh Jacobs, I'm probably not trading him for Ayuk and Moss either. So, I don't like that second trade at all. And the only way in my head that this makes any sense is giving up Pollard for Hopkins and Moss, because Pollard has been poo-poo all year so far. He's been bad. He's not been what you drafted.
So on the getting Ayuk side, you got the Jaguars in the middle of the road receivers, Buccaneers, Seahawks, Eagles, Seahawks, Cardinals. Give me that schedule going away for a really good wide receiver. I like Ayuk.
The thing I don't like about it is if you do look at the rest of their schedule, though, 5 of their next 9 games are road games. So they play the remainder of their games the rest of the season is road games.
So people in the chat, just so you know, if you're watching for the keyword for the Yeti giveaway, I'm gonna bump that up a little bit because we're running a little bit behind time here. But I'm still at least going to finish this segment. We'll talk about the running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends as quickly as we can, and then I'll do the keyword giveaway before we move on to the next segment. But Jason, why don't you go ahead and read off the running backs, and then we'll go to George for the wide receivers.
Running backs, Cam Akers, he has an Achilles tear. It's on the opposite side of the last time, and it's potentially career ending. 1 is career ending. 2, oof. Khalil Herbert has been designated to return from IR and has started the 21-day window to return. He could be eligible to play in week 10. Devon Achane. McDaniel said Achane is on track to return week 11 after the Dolphins bye week. I would expect to see HN back week 11 against the Raiders. Poor Raiders. James Conner. Coach Jonathan Gannon said last week, Conner is ready now and excited to be back. He's eligible to return in week 10 should the Cardinals choose to open the return window for him. I see him playing in week 10 against the Falcons. And finally, Kyron Williams is not eligible to return until at least week 11 versus the Seahawks.
And I may have missed some running backs there. I know there's been this is like about that 4-week window from when we had a lot of running backs go out all at once. So I was mainly focused on getting them back. But is there anything you guys can think of that I missed on the running back injury front?
Off the top of my head now.
All right. And I know, George, I said that I wanted you to do the wide receivers, but I have to do this first one because this is time for my rant.
I was going to say, I could tell you wrote the first one up.
Yeah, so this is my rant on the Indianapolis Colts. I'm going to try to make this a short, so somebody write down or don't text me yet the 30-minute and 57-second mark. But this short's going to be about Joshua Downs in the Indianapolis Colts. So Josh Downs with knee re-injury. It's likely a meniscus, meaning that he should be out a few weeks. But the idiot Colts medical staff let him go back out and play way too soon. Everyone was saying he should have been shelved for at least a week or two. Dr. Jesse Moore said it, and everybody on Twitter was saying it, and any medical personnel at all, and any Colts fan was saying we need to shelve him for a week or two. But then, of course, the Colts say, you know what? Medical staff says you're good. Let's rub some dirt on it. Go out there and give it a shot. And now he's re-injured his knee. He's likely going to be out for at least a couple more weeks now with a knee that is, more damaged than it was. But let's see. It says he will and hopefully take some time off this time to actually heal up. But it's the Colts, so expect him to be in for Week 10 or at least as soon as he possibly can be, because the Colts want to get him out there so that they can try to end his promising career before his the first big contract comes up. But hey, luckily the Colts went ahead and went out and worked out Sammy Watkins today, so that's great news because they absolutely hate to sign wide receivers that stay healthy. But if Downs misses time, I'd have to say that Isaiah McKenzie and one of the 47 mediocre tight ends that the Colts have on the freaking roster are going to split the majority of the workload, with Pittman taking the top defender and possibly the double coverage as if that was actually needed, since we have Gardner Minshew back there, since we drafted Anthony Richardson, who I don't know who, but somebody said he would probably be way too injured to actually play. Should have traded back, should have gotten Will Levis at a later pick. But, we can talk until we're Colts blue in the face about that one, but which I already have several times. But Gardner Minshew will have more yards on the ground probably for the rest of the season than he will in the air. So not really too concerned about the over coverage on Pittman because he kind of becomes a non-factor, especially for fantasy with Josh Downs out, because Downs is what was moving that offense. Downs was the guy that was opening up that offense. So I'm a little bit jaded about the medical staff and the Colts coaching staff right now for this piss poor decision, but it's because of the track record, right? Like we let Peyton get too banged up and he couldn't even finish his career here, and he was excited to finally get out. We let Andrew Luck retire way too early because we were constantly putting him in rough situations. Guys, give your players some time off. All right. And there's been one consistent through all of this. And it's a man that on a personal level, I absolutely love the guy. I've even had personal encounters with the guy. But Jim Irsay is the only guy that is the common denominator here. It's been through 2 GMs now, right? And actually 3 GMs, because I almost forgot about that dude that used to be a player for Philadelphia that should have never gotten the job. But anyhow, guys, as a Colts fan, we're tired of it. We're jaded. I know we were spoiled with the Peyton Manning years, but we only got 1 Super Bowl out of it. So it's time to make the ultimate change. Irsay, please, buddy, just give the company to your daughter and go retire, go play golf, or go dance in locker rooms all across the country for all I care. We love you, but it's time. All right, George, why don't you go ahead and finish up the wide receivers for us?
Man, I don't know if I want to follow that. That's deep.
He did miss the mark on the shorts, I will say.
Slightly. So we got Deebo Samuel. He's week 10 returns possible. He's back at practice today, limited status, but pointing in the right direction to play week 10. I have a feeling he's going to play week 10. Everything he's been saying is he's playing. Justin Jefferson is technically eligible to come off IR as soon as this week against the Saints. With Cousins going down, there was doubt in many minds that he would return at all. With the season seemingly bleak for a shot at the playoffs, but then came the rise of the savior himself, Joshua, no middle name, Dobbs. Less than 2 games back of the Detroit Lions for the division title and is currently sitting as 7th seed. There seems to be hope yet again for a Jay Jettis return. Now it's just a matter of how severe grade the hamstring strain was. Please continue to hold Jay Jettis. Drake London was out last week, week 9 against the Vikings with a groin injury. Team's hopeful that he could return week 10 against the Cardinals. He's still not practicing as of today. Tune in for TGIF on Friday and Title Time on Sunday for the most up-to-date injury news. And I'll just roll into the tight end. Actually, no, we'll let Pete get the tight ends.
Yeah, go for it, Pete.
So we got Darren Waller, another hamstring injury. Week 14 at best, he'll be back. It might be very possibly season ending in light of the Daniel Jones injury, Dallas Goddard, fractured forearm. He's going to probably hit the IR. But one guy, he's not injured, but one guy I just want to give a little something to. Watch out for Cole Kmet this Sunday too.
There you go. All right. So earlier I said I need to do some housekeeping, and I need to get those plugs in real quick. Hit that like and subscribe button. Help us out. Even if you don't like it, just don't leave a nasty comment. You don't even have to leave a comment. Just go ahead and give us a like, though, just to help us out. Now, if you do like it, then like it, subscribe, and leave the comment, because we want to make ourselves look better than we are. But I already mentioned the Gilded Chat earlier. And I'm going to mention Rival real quick. JoinRival.com/TitleTribe. That's JoinRival.com/TitleTribe. It is a new evolution in fantasy sports betting. George graciously donated $10 to me this week on a bet. But your first deposit of up to $200 is matched. Plus, they give you an additional $25 just for using that link, JoinRival.com/Title Tribe. Now, again, I wanted to go ahead and give away the Yeti keyword for the day. So remember, here's what you got to do to win the Yeti cooler. So first things first, you're already watching, so go ahead and subscribe if you're not already subscribed to the YouTube channel. Because when you submit this after 3 weeks, or I guess it'd be 2 weeks from tonight, you're going to submit your entry. And in that entry, you're going to show us a screenshot to show that you're subscribed to the channel. You're also going to join that free Gilded channel that I talked to you about earlier. So again, if you want in on the free Yeti, reach out to @Coach Sheps or @JustinFF_. We'll get you signed into that Gilded channel, because you got to be in the Gilded channel. You got to be subscribed to YouTube. And you got to complete this 3-word phrase, okay? The 3-word phrase begins today. I'm going to give you the first word in just a moment. And then a week from tonight, we're going to give you the second word. And then the third, 2 weeks from tonight, we're going to give you the third word. You're going to type up that 3-word phrase. And you're also going to comment in all 3 of these episodes. So if you haven't already, drop us a comment in the comments section. You're going to comment on the episode, and then we're going to announce the winner on the November 28th episode. Now, here's another little twist to this. If you really want this Yeti cooler and you want to increase your odds, become a Patreon supporter. That's patreon.com/Toilets to Titles. And when you join up at patreon.com/Toilets to Titles, you get to choose what tier you want to be in. I don't know how, but somehow we have a free tier in the Patreon. That was never intended, and I promise you're not going to get an extra entry for that. But we at least appreciate the fact that you want in on our monthly Patreon updates. I'll still send that to you at least to update you on what the network's doing. But if you increase that up to even just the first tier, the $1.50 a month tier, which, I'd probably waste $1.50 a month in my couch cushions. But if you wanted to chip in and help us out, $1.50 a month, you're going to get you're at tier 1, you're going to get an extra entry for this Yeti cooler. If you're at tier 5, you're going to get 5 extra entries, right? So for every tier, you get the extra entry. So again, that's patreon.com/toilets-and-titles. So guys, the first word of this 3-word phrase, in honor of the fact that today is election day, the first word is vote. So again, do not share this to people in the Gilded chat. Do not share this with your buddies. Do not DM it to other people, because we want the views, we want the clicks, we want the likes, but also you don't want to ruin your chances. So if anything, have them go ahead and view, because if they view, they at least deserve an opportunity, especially after hanging out with us for 40 minutes before I finally dropped the word. But that first keyword again is vote. 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 And I'm sure Jason can get that in a banner for me and plaster that up there at the bottom. The first keyword is vote. This is going to be a 3-word phrase. The secret word was like. Oh, I see. Okay. Rich is trying to throw people off. All right. Don't ever listen to Rich. All right. And Eli, I know you don't have a Patreon account, but this is a very easy, simple fix. Just wait till your dad falls asleep. Go grab his wallet. Go to patreon.com. Pretend like you're 18. And no, actually, we're not going to condone that. All right. So the keyword is vote, guys. I'm excited about this giveaway. This was a fun idea. I believe that George and Jason were 2 of the brainchilds that kind of came up with this initial thought. I'm going to try to save some time here. I'm going to go through my streaming life. Usually I give a whole spiel about why I choose these different players, but I'm just going to run through the players and whatnot. The streaming life is about picking up those players in your streaming positions, typically in a 1-quarterback league. And so you're streaming quarterback, you're streaming tight end, you're streaming team defense, and you're streaming tight end, quarterback, team defense, and kicker. Unless you have like top notch at one of those positions, you're streaming it most likely in a 1-quarterback league. So this week it's Chase McLaughlin for kicker. He's my kick pick of the week. He only missed 2 kicks all season, and Jason before the show reminded me that those were both blocked. So pretty incredible stat there for Chase McLaughlin, the guy that got fired from the Colts for missing too many field goals. It's crazy. The team defense is the Indianapolis Colts this week after bashing them and their team and all that. I mean, at the end of the day, they're going up against the Patriots, who have given up a lot of points to opposing team defenses, and the team defense is absolutely on fire right now. My quarterback, to go to Pete's point earlier, I'm going with Will Levis for the Titans. I like what I see there, but I also really love the matchup this week. So go ahead and fire up Will Levis again, and then Taysom Hill for another week, because for some reason you guys still aren't picking him up. He's still rostered in less than 40% of leagues. So leave him out there for me so I can keep gobbling him up. But those are my streams of the week. And Jason said that he was adding a streaming team defense here. Jason, what do you got for us?
Yeah, look, I am throwing out the Raiders as a streaming team defense option this week. And that's just because they're playing the Jets. Now, the Jets, if you didn't know, they just made the Chargers defense look like the 85 Bears, allowing 30 points for DST. If you're telling me that Max Crosby can't get something done against that offense, I don't know what to tell you. I think the Raiders are a sneaky play at DST and likely on a lot of your waivers.
Hey, so speaking of team, it looks like our team is complete. We went from having a square table to more of a round table-ish, if StreamYard could accommodate it a little better. But our man Joe has decided to join us. What's happening, Joe?
Hey, guys. Yeah, it's been a long time. I saw the invite earlier, but I had chores to take care of, namely walking Melvin. But he won't leave me alone anyway when I put the earphones on. But I knew it was a round table tonight. Sorry I couldn't join earlier, but I haven't been on one in a while. So I wanted to come and, I don't know, participate some way, even silently if I needed to, with my beautiful face. So I know I've got millions of fans out there anyway. And, so ignore me. Just go ahead. Ignore me. Okay?
No,
I'll just sit here being beautiful.
You're good. I'll find the right time to ask you a question. But no, Mark, it is not vote for Pedro, even though I've been kind of hooked to the TV show Suits here lately, and Suits has the Uncle Rico in it. So just wrapped up, I believe we're about 3 or 4 episodes into season 3. So it's amazing how the guy went from being slime to somebody I'm rooting for. I wish I could have rooted for him more in Napoleon Dynamite, but anyway, yeah. So it's not vote for Pedro, but you're kind of on the right track. I think you're on the right track there. My Flyer defense, Jerry says, is the Packers. They play the Steelers, which means they play somebody that does not have a quarterback. No, Eli, we do not make this a political show. It's not about a president, but it might be about somebody that should be president. All right. So let's no, we're not going to vote for George. All right. Coach was not here to do his dudes and duds. And I don't think that I've skipped over any. Real quick for your bye weeks, you've got for week 10, you got the Chiefs, you got the Rams, the Dolphins, and the Eagles. They're all on bye this week, so perfect week for George to go check out his new favorite team live, so he doesn't have to miss his second favorite team's game. But dudes and duds. The dudes, I'm going to rattle. I decided to choose them this time, and I didn't really give good reasons. It's just that these guys have great matchups. There's a lot of good reasons I saw, but I knew I wouldn't have time to read it off with having such an amazing panel on here. But my dudes, and Joe, you know what? Listen closely, and if there's any here that stand out to you, you let me know. But my dudes, at quarterback, Jared Goff, he's got the hapless Los Angeles Chargers. Coach. And then we have Will Levis at Tampa Bay. Breece Hall is up against the Vegas Raiders. Tony Pollard, who had his best game of the season this year in week 1 against the Giants, is up against Joe's Giants again this week. DeAndre Hopkins at Tampa Bay, Chris Olave at Minnesota, and Dalton Schultz at Cincinnati. So, Joe, how do you think I did with my dudes?
I love them all. I heard you guys talking about Pollard earlier when I was driving home, and yeah, I was shocked by the Melvin's chiming in. I was shocked by the poor season he had. I thought he was going to be. It's funny. Originally, in all my fantasy leagues, I was originally going to take Pollard as like my RB1, as long as I wasn't picking like 1 or 2. But assuming if I was picking later, like in the first round, I was going to take Pollard because I saw his average draft position was like deep in the second round. I'm like, this dude's ready to take off, starting RB for Dallas. Good offense, good enough run blocking offensive line. And I didn't. I actually wound up like with Christian McCaffrey, Saquon. I thought he was going to have a better year, not injured. And I was wrong about that. But with Pollard, I was really surprised about. But if they're going against Pollard, I think Pollard's I think he's going to have a good bounce back second half of the season.
Right on. So
especially against the Giants.
So typically the dudes and duds are an article on our website that's dropped every Wednesday morning. Another article that's dropped on Thursday mornings, Jason, if you want to talk about it, is the weekly ranks list with you and Rich, right?
Yeah, so every week, Rich and I give our top 10 for each position, and then Joe does a great job of making them look pretty and putting it up on the website. So check us out on toiletstitles.com, where you can see Rich and my top 10 for each position each and every week, Thursday morning.
Yep, it's right down there at the bottom. Pete, I'm going to ask you about my duds here. Let me read them off. Tell me if I'm missing on any of these guys. Of these duds, who do you think is going to stand out? I have a feeling I know who you're going to say, but I got Trevor Lawrence against San Francisco, Russell Wilson at Buffalo, Saquon Barkley is at Dallas, Gus Edwards versus Cleveland, Jamar Chase is at home against Houston, DJ Moore is at home against Carolina, and Evan Ingram is at home against San Francisco. Again, guys, just because they're on the duds list doesn't mean I think they're going to be completely flat. I'm just saying, it's Saquon Barkley, but we can't expect Saquon numbers given DeVito at quarterback and the defense that he's up against. You're still going to start him because he's Saquon freaking Barkley. But, you got to kind of subdue your expectations a little bit. That's all we mean by duds. But what do you think, Pete? Is there anybody in that list that I probably shouldn't have in that list?
I'm going to surprise you here. I'm going to go Jamar Chase.
Okay.
It depends on that injury. And, if he can go, he's fast, man. That guy, I don't care who's in the secondary. He can play.
Yeah, so Houston hasn't given up a whole lot of points to opposing quarterbacks, a little bit more to receivers, but overall their pass defense is pretty decent. But it's also partly because they're not very good at run defense so much. So I just kind of see a combination of Mixon getting a lot of carries, and I see Jamar, with that back injury, maybe if he's not fully ready to go, maybe I don't know. I don't want to say kind of half-assing it because it's not like he's CeeDee Lamb out there. He actually gives it his best effort because he's open on every play, right? Yep. So I feel like if he can't go 100%, then there also might be a chance he doesn't go at all. But he's going to try to play because it's Jamar Chase, and we love Jamar Chase around these parts. George. George, I'll let you have last attack at my dudes and duds because I'm sure there's something in there that you disagree with. Or you're frozen. Nope, you're up. Yeah. Uh-huh.
George is muted. I don't know what.
All right, no, you're cutting out way too bad, man. You weren't muted. It's just that we couldn't actually hear you. So guys, let's since we do have a little bit of time, we'll backpedal back to the bye weeks that I was going to mention before with the Chiefs, the Rams, the Dolphins, and the Eagles. There's a lot of fantasy football players that are on bye this week. With the Eagles, you got Hurts, AJ Brown, Devonta Smith, Swift, and of course Goddard wouldn't likely play anyway with the broken forearm, but Mahomes, Kelsey, Pacheco, Sky Moore, Kupp and Stafford, and Henderson, Puka for the Rams. Dolphins have Tua, Tyreek, Waddle, and Mostert. So a whole lot of guys that are not on your fantasy rosters this weekend. So George.
So the buys, this is as you mentioned, all these players that are on bye. I want to real quick give you a team that Jason and I have. Here's our wide receivers that are on bye this week: AJ Brown, Tyreek Hill, Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, Cedric Wilson. Also on bye are Patrick Mahomes, and we're without Dallas Goedert, and we don't have Anthony Richardson as well. So our projected score right now for this week is like 62 points. This week is a brutal, absolutely brutal bye week for a lot of teams because of all the players you just mentioned.
I do have to say the Rams being on bye is like a fantasy godsend for a lot of people because what we saw with Mark Rippon, you can't sit Cooper Kupp. But what you saw with Mark Rippon, you should sit Cooper Kupp. And you haven't been able to sit Puka Nacua. But what we saw with Mark Rippon, you need to sit Puka Nacua. So, I do feel like them being on bye takes that choice away from some players, and that makes things real streamlined. And I think that's a good thing, at least in this instance. And then potentially Stafford's back after the bye week, and maybe you can start them again. So I think at least in that instance, it's not a bad thing for fantasy players to be without those guys.
Yep, that's a fair point. We have the Pete Sandoval fan club in the chat. Appreciate you, Luis. Let's see. So somebody was bringing this up. What do we got here? Goddard injury may hurt Eagles more than people think. I expect Swift to have a bigger amount of volume after the bye. Yep, that's fair. I mean, even though he wasn't super heavily involved this season on a fantasy standpoint, that guy can block. You can utilize him in any formation. Very versatile. So that's a solid point right there. Does anybody have any Frankenstank brags that they want to talk about with their win over Graboids this week, Joe?
Brags? My team's we just moved up to 4-5. I don't really have any. And like the last few wins too have been against teams like Graboid. Nothing against Graboid, where we're just kind of like middling talents, and really no one, like anyone who's like pretty much worthy being stolen has been stolen already.
Yeah, so you went from being extremely dominant to having around a 500 team. So last season we were giving you all these kudos and talking about how good you were doing.
2 seasons ago.
Was it 2 seasons?
Last year I had 1 win.
Oh, that's right. Okay, well, I guess I wanted to forget about that, but
So did Joe. Thanks for bringing it up.
but you were always talking about how you were just getting lucky, and we were making a bigger deal out of it, and we didn't want to believe you. We thought
told
you were a man. So now you gotta right in this ship for next season, my man.
Well, listen, it's not over yet. I am 4-5. I'm not. I don't have 1 win. So listen. We still got half the season to go. Kind of in fantasy, kind of.
Ish.
Yeah.
So I said Mark Rippon, but that was the old Redskins back when they were the Redskins quarterback. It's Brett Rippon. So sorry about that.
There you go. Ghoulie Pete down here, you've got you inherited a pretty incredible team. Our boy Matt from the Fantasy Down Under, that's no longer with the network anymore, but unfortunately he had to bail out of the season this year, and you were able to inherit his team. Did it have 0 losses or 1 loss at the time?
It only had 1 loss, and I think I've lost 2 in a row now because I keep believing in Bijan, and it's been close losses.
Listen, I lost Bijan to somebody on this panel today, and I tried to tell him, like, please take Bijan, please. He's not very good. He's going to sink your team.
Look, I traded Roshan for him. I'm fine.
Yeah,
I'm winning with Roshan. I can win with Bijan.
The fantasy output is almost identical. It's
yeah. That's who I gave away today. I gave away Roshan as well, who I'd been holding on to like in all my leagues, just thinking that he was eventually going to get the starting nod in Chicago. But actually, in Frankenstein, I did give away Roshan, I think, for Kenneth Walker.
Yeah, now that Khalil Herbert could be coming back soon, it makes Roshan even less relevant, which is crazy to me. Like, Pete, am I wrong? Is Roshan not the most talented running back in that backfield? Am I just completely missing it?
You know what? It's this coaching stuff. I just don't understand what they're doing. I think they have no idea what they're doing with any of these players. They rotate players, they rotate the line, they just keep mixing things up. There's no continuity on this team whatsoever. I know he had the concussion, but you drafted him. Use the guy.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
I loved him coming out of college. Loved him.
Yeah, he was pretty good at Texas.
Yeah, it was. I think he would have had a much bigger name if he weren't playing behind, Bijan. And as Jerry Bagshaw says in the chat here, Bijan's a stud. It's the OC that is terrible. I agree with him.
So we've got another question here, another trade question. So real quick, Boston, if you have time, please tell us if this is a 1 quarterback league or a 2 quarterback league, or like Superflex, which is pretty much 2 quarterback. And then also, which side are you getting here? Like, I know you say you're stacked at receiver and you're thin at running back, but it looks like in both of these, and I don't know if that's Christian Kirk or Kirk Cousins, but I'm going to assume Christian Kirk because it's probably redraft. So in both of these, you're giving up a wide receiver and getting a running back. Is that Kyler Murray, I'm guessing? If so, again, that's why we need to know if this is 1 quarterback. But overall, with Connor coming back and Murray coming back as well, if this is 1 quarterback, I don't care so much about trading to get a quarterback. And like I said, I think Pittman's going to be on lockdown the next couple of weeks until Downs is healthy again. I think Connor is probably the best piece here if he comes back healthy. So that might be the side of the trade I'm leaning towards. Does anybody disagree with that?
Nah, if he's loaded at
it is 1 quarterback.
If he's loaded I figured it was Christian Kirk. I didn't think. I mean, it's got to be redraft. You're not trading Kirk Cousins like he's done for the year. If it, I'm leaning more. Oh, I mean, I guess you give up Murray. I mean, I would rather keep him and see if I could do Pittman and Pierce for Kirk and Connor. I feel like that is a lateral move. You get the better running back, but you're giving up the better wide receiver, in my opinion. I don't think you should have to include Kyler Murray, but I mean, if you got the quarterback depth to do it as well, go for it.
Right on. Caden, I'm not going to post this one or share this one just because we got to keep the cursing down a little for the PG rating. But he wants to know if we're trading away Saquon for how poop the Giants are right now. His playoff schedule is abysmal. So, yeah, if you can trade him, obviously it's not ideal right now. And Joe knows I'm a huge Saquon fan, so this isn't a shot at him. I already do that enough. Sometimes I feel bad because I rip everybody about their teams. But it comes from a Colts fan, I know. But anyway, so Saquon, it's not an ideal situation for him right now. If somebody's willing to give you anything decent, like he just now becomes touchdown dependent, just like most other running backs at this point.
And given the amount of carries he's probably going to have, what do you have? Something like 39 touches the ball altogether, I think, either this past game or the game before that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if this guy's even going to make it through the season.
Yeah, with his track record too, for sure. So yeah, he had this past game he had 19 touches, but you're talking about the game before that against the Jets, he had 39 touches, and honestly, if they give him 30 touches, now the defenses are going to be able to stack the box. I mean, going up against Dallas, Washington actually has a formidable defense. Maybe you get something from New England, and then you got a bye week. The Packers are not great against the run, but then that playoff schedule, you got the Saints and you got Philadelphia, and then you got Aaron Donald. Like, yeah, that's
I can't see the production as much as I love the guy. I can't see the production being there in fantasy. Well, obviously the NFL field as well, but I just can't see it with, third, fourth string quarterbacks. And, it's not like they were a dominant running game to begin with. So yeah, people, if you can trade Saquon, I would do it.
Yeah, and he says maybe target JT or Brees, and if you're able to get either one of those, you take it, run, and then laugh at the person that took it from you.
Yeah, for sure. All right, guys. Do we have any other questions in the chat that I'm not seeing? Yeah. Yeah, you're right, Steve. Takes four to replace Coach. I think that they did a hell of a job, though. I greatly appreciate you guys coming on. This is going to wrap up tonight's roundtable episode. I believe the second in-season roundtable episode of the season. But don't forget to check out the rest of the content. Wednesday night is T2T After Dark, where the boys kind of cut loose and have some fun on Wednesday night. And then Friday, TGIF. Joe, since you're here, let's talk it up. What about your Giants show? When can they catch it?
Yeah, tomorrow morning. Usually Wednesday mornings around 8:00 in the morning, Eastern Standard. Sometimes I can't do it, and it'll drop Thursday morning. But I'll be doing an episode tonight, recording it, and then dropping it tomorrow morning. New York Giants Corner, only at T2T Network.
Awesome, Pete. Why don't you tell the people, the title tribe, the people that are constantly watching and showing support, Saddest show on the. Oh man. Okay, I'm gonna leave that one alone. Tell the people out there what it is that you're going to be doing for Toilets and Titles, for the network, other than constantly posting on stuff on Twitter and trying to be our what are they, our hype guy. It's like you've come in to just suddenly be a hype guy out of nowhere for us, man. But tell them what else you're going to be doing for the network.
All right, so me, Will, and DB are going to be working on injuries and updating them with some pretty cool graphics that we got going on already. It's going to be real neat. We're going to delegate the 32 teams between the three of us. I've already decided to take on 11, 3 divisions. So you guys got something special coming your way.
Right on. Who has? Do you know who has the AFC South?
I believe that is Will.
Okay, because the Colts are going to keep him busy. All right. Hey, Jason, let's talk up title time a little bit.
Yeah, so title time's every Sunday morning, 10:30 to 12:30. All your start sit decisions, like right up to the games, with a little bit of a cushion to actually go set your lineup, so we can set our lineups. So from 10:30 to 12:30 live every Sunday morning, you usually get my face, George's beautiful face. Sometimes Mom over there, Justin, joins us. Other than this weekend, because George and I will be at a game, but we'll still have the show. We got great people standing in for us, including Justin, who have one eye on the Colts and then one eye on your questions. But every Sunday morning, 10:30 to 12:30 live, answer all your questions.
Outstanding. George, I think we covered all your shows, but do you have anything you want to say?
No, thanks for having me on the show. I know I had some technical difficulties this evening. I want to say it's not normal, but it seems like it's normal. I don't know.
Right on.
And definitely plug TGIF. This guy is fragile every Friday night again.
Yeah, every Friday night, 7:30. It gets released on YouTube. Justin does a fantastic job getting it posted after we record it. It's TGIF. We go over all the latest and greatest up to date injury information from around the league, courtesy of the Fantasy Doctors.
And one last time, just to remind everybody, next week you'll get the second keyword in our 3 keyword phrase. And then the following week you'll get the third. And then we'll do the drawing for the winner on the last Tuesday of November. So it's going to be just after Thanksgiving. And so you guys will be ready to start getting that Yeti ready for Christmas and filling it with all of the good beverages for Santa. Again, we appreciate you guys tuning in. Don't forget to go to patreon.com/toilets to enter, maybe upgrade your tier. We had 2 people message me today telling me that they upgraded their tier so that they can get another entry for the Yeti. So do all of the good stuff. Keep fighting the good fight. Enjoy your Week 11 fantasy football week. And on behalf of everybody at Toilets to Titles, have a great night.